Margaret, 4 points. We've covered 3 already. Can you just recap on the first 3?
Well, yes, the 4 strands for Rural Women New Zealand is first of all, is the social side of it, which is very important. And these days it is because of the isolation that our rural women are experiencing with the downturn. Educational opportunities is the second one. And then we have our fundraising or charity side of the organisation.
So number 4.
Number 4 is another big one for us, which is our advocacy. And that's one that we have been promoting and working on for 90 years. Promoting advocacy for our rural women, our rural children, and for our rural communities. We focus on education, health, social issues and land use issues. We leave the business of farming to federated farmers, and we focus on those four main areas. And there's, I mean, you might think that we've sort of covered everything over the 90 years, but they keep coming back, and we have to readdress them and look at them every so often.
Well, there's a different generation coming in.
Yes, very much so, and new issues coming up, a new way of doing things and thinking about things. And we just have to keep the government on their toes to make sure they always consider the rural aspect of things and any policies or anything they look at bringing in. We have been very strong in the last, I suppose 8 years ago, we really got onto them and said you've got to have a rural impact assessment tool to be able to put a rural lens over any policies that you do put forward to make sure they're not going to adversely affect rural. They might be great policies, but have you thought about how they might adversely affect rural? And that's very important. So we hope that all the ministries now do this and cover this when they're looking at any new policies.
It must be very exciting for you as an organisation to be able to be political and knock down doors and walk into rooms.
Oh yes, and we you know, over the years we've built up, we're well respected now for our well thought out submissions and things that we do. We you know, identify the problem, but we also identify 1 or 2 ways you could address it, because as we all know, governments are probably fairly short on new ideas and ways of solving some of these problems.
I was having a wee jest there, but you did right. You know,
yes. Yeah.
And it's a very good thing to be able to say, well, this is the problem, these are what we see as solutions.
That's right, and that's what we always like to do, and that's, I think, why we have always been well respected, because we don't just go in and hammer them and say, give all the negative stuff. We like to be positive as well and look at ways of addressing some of these issues. So,
and new people who want to be part of that decision making and
yes, well, we're always looking to be a credible, you know, to give a credible voice to it. We always need to have people, grassroots people who can come on, and we've got lots of ways that they, you know, but people can do it by becoming members and doing it all by email now. It's so much easier than it used to be.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's just and you know, we do like to have surveys, but we do need to have people to be that credible voice. We need to have the people at the grassroots level, you know, helping us with these submissions.
And you can be as involved or not involved as you want.
Exactly, yes. And you know, some people like to do the advocacy side of it. That's where their interest is. Some like just the social side of it, and some like, you know, educational opportunities. And that's a very important one.
I think the role of women in agriculture has changed dramatically in the last few decades.
It has, yes, and we're very much more involved in the farming side of it. I mean, I look back to my mother-in-law, and she, you know, made scones and made the cups of tea for the people that came in, but never went to the accountant. And now we're involved, whether we do the finances or we're out actually physically working on the farm. We're very much, it's a partnership.
Absolutely.
Very much involved with it.
And anybody who's having anything to do with farming as a business, or farmers, ignores the women at their own peril, don't they?
They do now, yes. The odd one that still rings up and asks to talk to the boss.
Yeah, it's a very short conversation,
It's a
Margaret.
very short conversation. Yeah. But that's, yes, things are changing.
I think that's very, very important. And you know, quite frankly, it's the old story of the farmer will say, I really want that tractor. And his wife will say, do you need it or do you want it? So it's keeping his feet on the ground a fair bit.
Yes, and as I say, you know, the wife or the partner is often the one doing the finances now, doing the box, and they know exactly how everything's going.
And the farmers probably just sweep everything under the carpet, as as a bloke, I mean.
Yes, well, they're busy doing the physical side of farming, and they just see that side of it and want to keep on with that. That's how I see it.
So where to from here? Onwards and upwards for...
Onwards and upwards, yes. Well, as far as our advocacy role, we're still very, there's lots of things coming up. We've been doing a tertiary education, submission on discussion document there, and fresh water, and there's freedom camping, which is a big issue. We want to, and that's in the rural areas. That's certainly something we have to do. It's equity of access to things like health and education, connectivity. We've still got a lot of our rural people have not got good internet access. While we don't really, they probably don't want it for the fast films and all that sort of thing. They do need it for business and for their kids' education. The kids now have to look up the internet for homework projects, and you've got to have internet access for that.
Whether you like it or not, Margaret.
Whether we like it.